The troubled husband sold his half of the house and left with his mistress. When he returned to confront his ex-wife, he was stunned to find her, Lisette, awake early and weighed down by unease. Dash, who used to be by her side, was now missing. She got up, burdened by worry, and found the house silent, a silence that had become too familiar in recent months. Dash's frequent absences and excuses about late work had grown tiresome. As she made breakfast, Lisette reflected on their planned conversation about the apartment they had been saving for. She wanted to ensure it was registered in both their names to reflect their equal contributions. When Dash entered the kitchen, he was serious and avoided her gaze. Lisette, trying to keep her voice steady, said they needed to talk. Dash avoided eye contact and stared at his coffee. Lisette mentioned that the apartment should be registered in both names. Dash, irritated, argued that complicating things was unnecessary and that as a family, everything belonged to both. Lisette, feeling a surge of determination, insisted it was fair to reflect their contributions. Dash, unaccustomed to her challenge, retorted that traditionally the husband owns the home and questioned why she was making it complicated. Lisette, determined to not let outdated traditions dictate her life, argued that in a modern era of equal rights, the apartment should be registered in both names. Dash, caught off guard by her resistance, reluctantly said the additional costs were unnecessary. Lisette suggested cutting other expenses, like Dash's beer consumption, to cover the costs. Dash, taken aback, was unable to respond and mumbled about discussing it later before leaving. That night, Lisette, feeling a renewed sense of hope and determination, prepared for bed. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, but felt she was ready to face it. Dash, meanwhile, slept restlessly, disturbed by the events of the night. Lisette knew the battle was just beginning, but she was ready to fight for what she deserved. The next day, feeling the weight of the previous night's conversation, Lisette decided to call her friend Sully for support. After a rocky marriage, Jason sold his share of the house and left with his new partner. When he came back to confront his ex-wife, Clara, he was taken aback to see her, Clara, up early and clearly unsettled. Jason's usual presence was missing, leaving Clara alone with her anxiety. As she prepared breakfast, the silence in the house was a stark reminder of Jason's frequent absences and flimsy excuses. Clara had been planning a discussion about their joint savings for an apartment, wanting to ensure it was legally registered in both their names. When Jason walked in, his serious demeanor and avoidance of eye contact made Clara uneasy. Trying to maintain her composure, Clara said they needed to talk. Jason, looking at his coffee as if it might provide an escape, was clearly not interested in the conversation. Clara insisted that the apartment should be in both names. Jason, visibly annoyed, questioned why complicate things when as a family, everything was already shared. Clara, feeling a new strength, argued that fairness demanded their contributions be reflected. Unused to such confrontation, Jason clung to outdated traditions and argued that these matters were simpler when he was in charge. Clara, resolute not to let old norms define her, argued for modern equality and insisted that the registration be in both names. Jason, surprised by her assertiveness, tried to downplay the issue by mentioning unnecessary costs. Clara suggested cutting back on Jason's personal expenses to cover the costs, which left him momentarily speechless. He mumbled about discussing it later and left the room. That night, Clara felt a renewed sense of hope as she faced the uncertain future. She knew the journey ahead would be tough, but felt ready to confront it. Jason, restless and troubled, struggled with the new dynamics. Clara reached out to her friend Mia for support, knowing she needed advice and encouragement to navigate the road ahead. Clara, determined to find clarity, met Mia at their favorite cafe the next day. Mia's warm, welcoming presence was a comfort, and Clara quickly shared the details of the heated conversation with Jason. Mia listened attentively, her expression reflecting a mix of concern and support. "You're doing the right thing, Clara," Mia said, after Clara finished recounting the argument. "It's important that your contributions are recognized. Don't let Jason's resistance deter you. You have every right to stand your ground. Clara nodded, feeling the weight of her friend's encouragement. I know you're right, Mia, but it's hard. Jason has always been so dominant, and now that I'm challenging him, it feels like the ground beneath me is shifting. Mia squeezed Clara's hand reassuringly. You're stronger than you think. It's not just about the apartment. It's about your voice and your worth. Don't let anyone, even Jason, make you feel less. Inspired by Mia's words, Clara felt a renewed sense of determination. She spent the following days organizing her thoughts and planning her next steps. Despite the tension at home, she kept herself busy with her studies and preparations for the upcoming sale of the apartment. One afternoon, while sorting through paperwork, Clara received a call from her real estate agent. Clara, the sale of Jason's half of the apartment is moving forward smoothly. We've found a buyer, and I believe you'll be pleased with the outcome. Clara's heart raced with a mix of relief and anticipation. Who's the buyer? It's Luke Harrison, the agent replied. He's someone you might remember from your past. The name struck a chord. Luke had been a close friend from high school, someone Clara had always admired. The idea of him being involved in the sale brought a sense of unexpected comfort. Later that day, Clara met Luke at a cozy cafe. Seeing him again brought back a flood of memories. Luke greeted her with a warm smile. Clara, it's been a long time. I'm glad to see you. How are you doing? Clara smiled back, feeling a sense of ease. It's good to see you too, Luke. I'm managing, and I appreciate you buying the apartment. It's a big help. They sat down and discussed the details of the sale, but their conversation naturally shifted to old times and their lives since then. Luke shared stories about his travels and career changes, while Clara spoke about her recent challenges without going into too much detail. It seems we both had our fair share of trials, Luke said empathetically, but it's good to see you moving forward. Sometimes, it's those tough times that lead us to better places. Clara agreed, feeling a genuine connection with Luke. The sale process was completed smoothly, and Luke moved into the apartment, offering Clara to stay in the half that had belonged to Jason until she found a new place. Grateful for his kindness, Clara accepted the offer. With Luke's support, she began to rebuild her life. She enrolled in a business administration course, resuming her studies and focusing on her future. Luke, who lived across the hall, became a source of encouragement and friendship, providing much-needed companionship during a challenging time. One evening, after a particularly demanding day, Luke knocked on Clara's door with a bottle of wine. Care for a break? He asked with a smile. Clara welcomed the offer, and they spent the evening enjoying each other's company, talking and laughing as they reminisced about the past and looked forward to the future. Clara found solace in Luke's presence, realizing how much her life had shifted for the better. As the months passed, Clara felt more in control and hopeful. With the apartment sale completed and her studies progressing, she began to envision a new future. Luke's support and her own resilience gave her the strength to face any obstacles that came her way. The transition to a new chapter in her life was ongoing, but Clara felt confident that she was on the right path. With her newfound independence and the possibility of a fresh start, she was ready to embrace the future with hope and determination. As the weeks passed, Clara's life began to take shape in new and fulfilling ways. With her business administration studies in full swing, she found herself invigorated by the challenges and opportunities that came with returning to school. She enjoyed learning again and felt a growing sense of accomplishment with each passing day. Luke's support was a constant source of comfort. He was always there to lend an ear or offer encouragement, and their friendship deepened with time. Their casual get-togethers evolved into regular dinners and outings, each one strengthening the bond they had rekindled. One evening, as Clara returned from class, she found a note from Luke on her door. It read, "I've been thinking we should celebrate your progress. Let's have dinner at my place tomorrow night. I've got something special planned." Curious and excited, Clara accepted the invitation. The next evening, she walked across the hall to Luke's apartment, where she was greeted by the aroma of a delicious meal. Luke had prepared a homemade dinner, complete with Clara's favorite dishes. As they sat down to eat, Luke looked at Clara with a warm smile. "I want to do something special for you. You've been working so hard, and I'm proud of all the progress you've made." Clara felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you, Luke. Your support means the world to me. I don't think I could have managed all this without you." They enjoyed a pleasant evening, filled with laughter and heartfelt conversation. After dinner, Luke handed Clara a small wrapped gift. "I got this for you. I thought it might brighten your day." Clara opened the gift to find a beautiful journal with an inspiring quote on the cover. "Write down your dreams and goals," Luke said. "Sometimes, putting things in writing helps us to visualize and achieve them." Touched by the gesture, Clara promised to use the journal to track her aspirations and progress. As she left Luke's apartment that night, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Meanwhile, the search for her own apartment was progressing. Clara had started visiting potential new homes, each visit fueling her excitement about the possibilities for her future. She was determined to find a place that felt like her own, a space where she could truly start anew. One afternoon, while Clara was touring a charming apartment downtown, she received a call from Mia. "Clara, I have some exciting news. There's a networking event for women in business this weekend. I think it would be a great opportunity for you to meet potential mentors and connect with others in your field." Clara was thrilled at the prospect. She eagerly accepted Mia's invitation and spent the week preparing for the event. The networking event proved to be a valuable experience. Clara met several successful women who offered advice and encouragement, and she left the event feeling inspired and motivated. Back at home, her studies continued to progress well, and she found herself balancing her academic commitments with her growing social life. The friendships she had cultivated, especially with Luke, were a source of strength and joy. One evening, as Clara and Luke enjoyed a quiet dinner together, Luke turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Clara, I've been thinking about how much has changed for both of us. I'm really glad we reconnected. You've shown so much strength and resilience." Clara smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Thank you, Luke. It means a lot to hear that. I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. You've been an amazing friend." As time went on, Clara continued to make strides in her personal and professional life. She found a new apartment that felt like a perfect fit and began the process of moving in. With each step, she felt more confident and hopeful about the future. Luke remained a steadfast friend and source of support. Their bond grew stronger, and Clara began to entertain the idea of what a future with Luke might look like. For now, though, she was focused on enjoying the present and embracing the positive changes in her life. As Clara settled into her new apartment, she looked around at the fresh start she had created for herself. With her studies progressing, new friendships forming, and a supportive friend like Luke by her side, she felt ready to embrace the future with hope and determination. The journey ahead was still unfolding, but Clara was more confident than ever that she had the strength and resilience to face whatever challenges came her way. With each passing day, she moved closer to the life she had always dreamed of, one filled with purpose, fulfillment, and the promise of new beginnings. As Clara settled into her new apartment, the sense of independence and new beginnings was invigorating. The apartment, with its bright windows and cozy corners, felt like a perfect canvas for her fresh start. She spent her days focusing on her studies, and her evenings exploring the city and catching up with friends. Luke continued to be a supportive presence. He often stopped by to check in, and their friendship evolved naturally, with their interactions becoming more comfortable and relaxed. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of Clara's new place, Luke broached a topic they had been skirting around. "Clara," Luke began, his tone serious but kind, "I've been thinking about us. I know we've talked about just being friends, but I can't ignore how much I care about you. I'd like to explore what a relationship might look like between us." Clara looked at him, her heart racing. She had felt a growing connection with Luke, but had been hesitant to acknowledge it. "Luke, I've been feeling the same way. It's just, I've been through a lot recently, and I'm still finding my footing." I understand, Luke said, reaching out to gently touch her hand. We don't have to rush anything. I just want to be honest about my feelings and see if we can take things slow. Clara nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension. I appreciate your honesty. Let's take our time and see where this goes. Their relationship began to blossom slowly, with Luke and Clara navigating this new phase with patience and care. They enjoyed discovering each other's interests and spending quality time together. Their bond grew stronger, and Clara felt grateful for the stability and affection Luke brought into her life. Meanwhile, Clara's studies were progressing well. She was excelling in her courses and had started to network with industry professionals, making valuable connections that would benefit her career. She felt a renewed sense of purpose and direction in her life. One day, while attending a networking event organized by her business program, Clara met an influential business leader, Sandra, who was impressed by Clara's passion and determination. Sandra offered Clara a mentorship opportunity, which Clara eagerly accepted. Under Sandra's guidance, Clara began to gain deeper insights into the business world and received invaluable advice on how to advance her career. The mentorship was a significant boost to Clara's confidence and professional growth. As Clara continued to thrive in her studies and career, she also found joy in her personal life. She and Luke spent weekends exploring new places, attending cultural events, and simply enjoying each other's company. Their relationship deepened, and they began to talk about their future together. One evening, as they strolled through a park, Luke stopped and turned to Clara. I've been thinking a lot about us, and I want to be honest about something. I see a future with you, Clara. I want to build something meaningful together. Clara's heart swelled with emotion. Luke, I feel the same way. I'm excited about the future and the possibilities we have together. With their relationship solidifying, Clara and Luke began to make plans for their future. They talked about their dreams and aspirations, finding that their goals and values were closely aligned. Clara's new apartment became a place of joy and comfort, where she could build her life with Luke and continue to grow both personally and professionally. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment and happiness, knowing that she had taken control of her destiny and was surrounded by supportive people who genuinely cared for her. As the months went by, Clara's life continued to evolve. She found satisfaction in her career, joy in her relationships, and a sense of peace in her personal achievements. She knew that her journey was far from over, but with Luke by her side and a clear sense of purpose, she was ready to embrace whatever the future held. Clara had come a long way from the uncertainty and challenges of her past. She had rebuilt her life with resilience and courage, and now, as she looked ahead, she felt a profound sense of hope and excitement for the journey still to come.